Hassan, Hassan, it's murder, right? You're under arrest for murder.
That was the moment Hassan Sentamu was arrested for the senseless murder of a 15-year-old girl on the way to school. The events that take place in this video transpired in September 2023 and are one of 3 instances of misogynistic knife crime that the creators of Netflix's Adolescence would draw inspiration from, the others being the tragic murders of Ava White and Brianna J., both of which I'll be covering soon, so be sure to subscribe.
It's crazy what your brain tells you to do when you're a kid.
Elianne Andam was born and raised in London. She was a vibrant and creative young woman with a bright future ahead of her. At 15 years old, she had already mapped out ambitious plans for her life. She aspired to become a human rights lawyer, a dream that reflected her deep sense of justice and her desire to stand up for others. Her family described her in the most heartbreaking terms after her death. Elianne was a beautiful person inside and out who loved Jesus. She was intelligent, thoughtful, and kind. Elianne was a popular schoolgirl, someone who drew people to her with her warmth and loyalty. But perhaps what defined her most was her unwavering commitment to friendship. She was the kind of person who showed up when you needed her most, a trait that would ultimately lead her to be on Wellesley Road that September morning. Hassan Sentamu, aged 17, was born in Uganda but moved to the UK when he was 3 years old due to his father physically abusing his mother. When he was 12, he moved into foster care due to neglect. Whilst living with one family, he threatened to chop the cat's tail off if he didn't get his own way, and spoke of self-harm and suicide freely. He was previously in a special needs school due to having learning difficulties. He also had neurodivergent diagnoses, those being ADHD and autism. 10 days before the attack, break up with his girlfriend by text, saying, "Your energy is dead. I'm not ready for a relationship. All the best." He and his now ex would exchange further texts, with her asking for her beloved teddy bear back. Hassan would respond by saying, they can meet on Wednesday before school, but he wants his gifts back, from the clothes to the pillows and flowers. They continue to text back and forth, with Hassan becoming increasingly impatient, writing, "You're wasting my time. Do you want your thingy back or not? If everything isn't in the bag, then you're not getting your dumb little bear." His ex would report this back to her friends, one of which was Elianne Andam, saying, "He's so rude." On the evening before the murder, he would go to Whitgift shopping centre with a friend and bump into a group of girls, including Elianne, that would criticise him for the treatment of his ex-girlfriend. This criticism didn't involve any threats of violence, but the girls did throw water at him and mock Hassan about his appearance and his special educational needs history. He appeared to handle this calmly, but later on would text his friend asking if it was a violation and that he couldn't let that slide. His friend, knowing Hassan's temperament and history well, recognized the danger and responded by saying, "Don't do anything dumb." A few weeks prior to this, Hassan had confessed to this friend that the real him was evil, dark and miserable, adding that life is hard and tough, and he can mentally and physically break people. Sentamu was referred to child mental health services earlier at 13 years old due to threatening a child with a knife when he was being teased. On another occasion, he threatened to stab another student with a pair of scissors. It was a crisp September morning in 2023. The streets of Croydon were alive with the familiar sounds of the school rush, car engines, footsteps smacking the pavement, and the distant rumble of buses carrying students to their 9 a.m. start. The meetup arranged for Wednesday the 27th would go ahead as planned, but the morning air carried a tension that none of the teenagers could have predicted. Elianne and her friends arrived at roughly 8:20 a.m. with all of his belongings, but when Hassan arrived empty-handed, they were confused to say the least. The girls, in a rush to get to school for 9 a.m., confronted him as to where the teddy bear was, but something felt wrong. Despite the mild September weather, Hassan stood before them dressed entirely in black, dark clothing, black gloves, and a face mask that concealed most of his face. The girls could feel their hearts beginning to race. One would later tell police that the sight made her skin crawl. It looked exactly like the ominous outfits worn before violent attacks in Netflix's Top Boy, a show they knew Hassan obsessed over. After being confronted, he would chillingly respond with, "Don't make me hurt you." He left with his belongings, and Elianne would make a haunting Snapchat that explains the situation.
We come to collect the stuff from Hassan. He was meant to be like an interchange. She gets her stuff, he gets his stuff. He didn't even bring the stuff.
In an act of solidarity to her friend, she would run towards Hassan as he walked away and grab the bag out of his hand, continuing on past him. What happens next would become one of the darkest moments in Croydon's history. Shockingly captured on CCTV by a double-decker bus driving past, seconds after passing him, Hassan would draw a kitchen knife from his waistband and chase her down, stabbing her multiple times. As she fell to the ground and scrambled away trying to fight him off, he landed another blow to her neck, severing the carotid artery, causing massive bleeding. As Hassan fled, the bus driver and a passerby would rush to Elianne's side, administering first aid and comforting her in what turned out to be her final moments, reassuring her that she'd be okay. The screams shattered the morning calm. Car brakes screeched as drivers stopped in shock. Mobile phones were frantically pulled from pockets as horrified witnesses dialed 999, their voices shaking as they tried to explain the unthinkable scene unfolding on Wellesley Road. The London ambulance service, along with helicopter paramedics, arrived almost instantaneously, but even so, she would be pronounced dead at the scene at 9:21 a.m. In the meantime, Hassan began what would prove to be a very short-lived escape attempt. Immediately after the attack, he sprinted away from Wellesley Road, making sure he wasn't being followed. His first priority was disposing of the evidence. CCTV would later show him discarding his face mask and black gloves into a bin as he fled. Hassan's escape plan seemed hastily thought out. He caught 2 buses in an attempt to reach his house, apparently believing he could simply return home and act as if nothing had happened. But he had made a critical error. He still had the murder weapon with him. Security footage captured the moment he disposed of the kitchen knife, throwing it into someone's garden as he made his way through the neighborhood. It was a desperate attempt to distance himself from the evidence, but he was already too late. When Hassan stepped off the second bus, his freedom was measured in seconds. An eagle-eyed police officer spotted him. When the officer approached and asked for his name, Hassan's response revealed just how poorly planned his escape had been. With a form of ID literally hanging out of his mouth, Hassan claimed his name was John. It was a lie that lasted mere seconds.
Show me your hands. What's your name, mate? What's your name? What's your name?
John.
You got any ID on you, mate? I'm looking for someone who's just stabbed someone. I need to see your name. Say something on your card. Put your hands behind your back.
Right.
Put your hands behind your back now.
Oh, right.
Listen. Right.
Oh, no, wait.
Listen, you're on camera. Listen, you're on camera. Right now.
I didn't even do nothing, bro.
Put your hands right there. Put me on.
I didn't even do nothing.
Urgent assistant, King Henry's Drive near the park. I'm marked. I've got this male detained. You're under arrest on suspicion or GBH with intent. As for stabbing your girlfriend in Croydon this morning, okay? In regards to that, you don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence. Not mention no question. Something to rely on court. Anything you do say, make them in as evidence. King Henry's, mate, just past the speed camera. Just drove past you. I've got him. No, you can't do anything at the moment, mate. You're going to be searched down section 32. Where's the knife?
I don't have
Where's the knife?
on me.
I don't have any knife on me,
I've nicked him. Just help me with the search. I just hold him there. Is him? I've got his voice. I've got him. Oh. I've already told him he's searched under 32 place. He just got off the 64 bus.
Confirm he's secure. Oh yes.
Yeah, I've got him handcuffed. He's got the oyster pod. This is our guy.
Okay, Hassan. What's the time?
9:45.
9:45. Hassan, you're under
I've already
arrest.
arrested him.
Okay,
Yeah,
lovely.
literally.
Cool. What do you need?
Just a search, yeah, just a 32.
Right, okay.
What have you got on you?
Jubilation intent at the moment. That's the good girl that she passed away. Just update you, mate. Hello, just listen to me. Hassan. It's murder, right? You're under arrest for murder. No longer GBH with intent.
Can I get a report number? Any medical?
Mate, now's not a good time.
Just take mine.
I've just nicked someone for murder.
Stand by for medical.
Yeah, I'm by myself. Right, bye.
Saved.
Can we get a dog bag?
What the arresting officer would later testify about in court was chilling. He noticed a smear of blood on Hassan's thumb. It was Elianne's blood, physical evidence that would prove impossible to explain away. The arrest was swift and decisive. Within hours of stabbing Elianne to death over a teddy bear, Hassan was in police custody, his brief attempt at freedom ending almost as quickly as it had begun. The evidence against Hassan was overwhelming, and he would plead guilty to manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility due to his autism diagnosis, which became the centerpiece of his defense. Whilst in a secure facility, he was accused of killing girls by another boy, to which he responded, "I'll do it again. I'll do it to your mum. Do you want to end up like her? 6 feet under. I'll do the same again." The prosecution argued that his white-hot anger and humiliation by the teenage girls was the reason behind the murder, rather than his health difficulties.
You have taken the life of a precious child. The responsibility for Elianne's death will be with you for the rest of your days. The sentence is detention at His Majesty's pleasure. For the murder of Elianne Andam on the 27th of September 2023, you will be detained for at least 23 years.
What made Elianne's death even more tragic was how much life she had ahead of her. At 15, she was already thinking about her future impact on the world, planning to use her intelligence and sense of justice to help others through law. Her teachers and friends saw in her someone destined for great things. The devastating irony wasn't lost on those who knew her. A girl who dreamed of fighting for human rights was killed simply for exercising the most basic human instinct, protecting a friend. Her death would become a rallying cry against the senseless knife crime emerging from the UK that had claimed yet another promising young life. The impact of Elianne's death rippled far beyond her immediate family and friends. The Croydon community was left reeling, struggling to comprehend how such a vibrant young life could be taken so senselessly. Just 1 week after the murder, thousands of people gathered outside the Whitgift shopping centre, the very place where Elianne had been killed, for a candle-lit vigil. The response was overwhelming. People wore white clothing as requested by her family and carried candles to honour her memory. In a moment that spoke to Elianne's impact, grime artist Stormzy, a Croydon native himself, joined the vigil. The rapper stood silently beside Elianne's family as they led mourners in prayer, tears visible in his eyes as a choir sang Amazing Grace, with thousands of voices joining in. The tragedy also sparked broader conversations about knife crime, particularly violence against young women. Elianne's death was noted as one of several high-profile cases that highlighted the growing problem of misogynistic violence, alongside the murders of Ava White and Brianna J. But Croydon wasn't content to let Elianne's memory fade into statistics about youth violence. On September 27th, 2024, exactly 1 year after she was murdered, the community came together once again. This time, it was to unveil something permanent, a beautiful mural dedicated to Elianne's memory. The mural serves as more than just art on a wall. It's a promise that a girl who dreamed of fighting for human rights will never be forgotten. A promise that her death, as senseless as it was, will continue to inspire conversations about protecting young people from violence. There's something profoundly tragic about the fact that Elianne Andam, who wanted to spend her life defending human rights, became a symbol in death of the most basic human right, the right to live free from violence. She was killed for doing exactly what her character compelled her to do, standing up for someone who needed her support. Hassan Sentamu will spend at least the next 23 years behind bars. But for the Andam family, for her friends, for the Croydon community, the sentence can never truly balance the scales. Nothing can bring back the brilliant young woman who had so much to give to the world.